What's up, guys? So, another patch. You know what that means? More videos about the patch, like talking about the balance changes, new character, etc. And for today, we're talking about the fact that Nintendo keeps targeting me with these changes, right? They keep buffing Olimar and Rosa, and they keep nerfing Min Min. Because I'm pretty sure the last like major balance patch, they did exactly that, and they did it for this one too. So let's talk about those, right? Starting off with Olimar. The character got changed the least. He has a tiny buff. His forward smash now has a the sweet spot on it lingers for one more frame. So like before, this wouldn't sweet spot, I don't believe, but now it should. Now it's too far away. The change is very tiny. It was only in the sweet spot. And like, the Pikmin don't even travel that far in the first like few frames they move. So I don't believe that would have sweet spotted before actually. It basically be on top of the Pikmin pre-patch. And now it will from a little bit of range. It's really not that big of a deal. It's like a nice little quality of life thing. Like, okay, no, that wouldn't have sweet spotted before. So, you know, it's gonna be a bit more relevant. Maybe in like the yellow Pikmin have bigger hitboxes already. On the purple, it's pretty noticeable as well because it doesn't travel that far, so any distance is nice. But it really is like a super insignificant buff, I'd say. It's just it's like a quality of life buff. Like, alright, thank you, Sakurai. Appreciated. Buff was more, please. If they made it so, like the mid hitbox was longer, like I thought at first, that would have been a big deal. Next one, Rosa, Luna, and Luma. So, this is the buff I'm excited about. So basically what they did is they made it so if you do side B, when Luma's behind Rosa, Luma teleports in front of Rosa, right? So like I do this, Luma's in front of me. Before Luma basically side B from where he is right now, so I have a lot less range on it. And this is actually something that they've kind of like added to almost all of Rosa's moves since the beginning of the game through multiple patches, where like pretty much her entire kit now has Luma teleporting in front of her when she does attacks, which is huge, right? Every time they do that, I'm like, that's a useful buff. They always have been phenomenal buffs. But here's the thing that's interesting. So look at me doing side B with Luma in front of me. See how Luma kind of like, you know, tethers in place, so I can like move with Luma and like, or move those and have Luma stay in place for like positioning and setups. It's nice, but that means Luma's not near me when I do it, right? However, if I do it while moving with my back facing wherever I side B, because of Luma teleporting in front of me, Luma stays with me during the side B as I move. Give me this kind of like moving transcendent projectile hitbox, which might be a significantly big deal. Because it gives me a lot more options for like neutral. Like I can use this for like pressure now. Like for I can also do a B reverse and get like this going, right? And this looks kind of funky, but that can be. I think it's gonna be really useful. So yeah, we have that. You can do for like edge guarding, like things like that. So I think this is gonna be a pretty solid tool for a kit. The only thing I'm worried about is, well, this looks a little bit like janky, I feel like. So I'm not sure if this is intended or not. But then on the other hand, I think if a developer like went into training mode for 5 minutes, just did this, they'd see right away, wait, something's off. Like this doesn't look like normal. So I'm hoping this is intended, or if it's not, they at least don't change it. Because that's pretty big. If it's just like Luma turning around with a Rosa on side B, it's still going to be a nice change for sure. But it's not going to be nearly as versatile. So yeah, here's the hoping this is here for good. And we have a new tool with Rosa, because you know what? She's a good character, but she's not like amazing or anything. She needs anything and everything she can get, in my opinion. And now, so the Min Min nerfs. So these nerfs are pretty big. They're not like character breaking necessarily, but I think they're pretty big nerfs overall. The smaller one is up smash. Basically, this move has a little less knockback, killing about like 6% later on average on most characters, which also means it's a little bit less safe at lower percent for combos, which is kind of annoying because like down up smash is a nice combo to get that's already unsafe in some matchups at some spacings. But whatever, not a big deal. I'd say the knockback nerf. It comes out a frame later, which honestly, it hurts definitely. The reflector and the hitbox comes out frame later, at frame 8 for the hitbox, instead of the reflector. Which hurts our show game a little bit, especially because I feel like frame 7 was a nice point where you could punish a lot of stuff on block if they weren't spaced that well. And now that might be a little bit too slow to punch a lot of things. Use only a frame. But really, it also means it's an anti-air, it's a little bit slower to react to stuff with projectile punish, whatever. But honestly, up smash nerf, the one that people are like, oh, it's not a big deal. Yeah, it's not a big deal. I didn't say it was on Twitter or anything. What I think is the big nerf is the up B nerf. So now up B tethers to the ledge 2 frames slower than before, at frame 7 instead of frame 5. Now, this is actually a pretty big deal, because I find in a lot of matchups with Min Min versus characters that have very aggressive edge guarding, she can barely slip by the edge guarding with up B. She can barely avoid their edge guard and get back to the ledge safely if you played it well. And the 2 extra frames of Starp and up B is 2 extra frames for someone to get in her face and edge guard her. If you just look at her fast falling, right, and we count 2 frames of distance, 1, 2. It doesn't look like that much, but it actually is enough to matter in a lot of situations, I'd say, versus characters that are already on top of Min Min. Or for attacks, 2 extra frames to hit someone with an attack can matter. That can be the game-changing difference. So, and the big thing is where up smash is it hurts our show game, but she's not trying to be stuck in show much or anything too much. So it's not a huge deal there. Her disadvantage state is already pretty bad, so making it even more exploitable might push it over the line and make it so in some matchups you get off stage and you're just dead. And I could be wrong, see how it progresses, but I do think this nerf is going to end up hurting her quite a bit. She's still going to do her thing with shooting arms out and being busted in a lot of ways, but yeah, we have to see how it plays out. I do think some matchups though, say Sheik, Pikachu, Puff, characters who can already get in her face off stage, became that much harder. And honestly, pretty much every matchup technically. Yeah. If you guys have any thoughts on this, let me know in the comments below. With that said, peace out.